Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Guilherme Rodrigues. I'm the co-founder of Deco CMS. And today I'm going to talk to you about our experiences building MCPs for autonomous storefronts. So just first quick question, any Brazilians in the room for any chance, except for my team? Nice. There's always Brazilians. So Deco is a Brazilian software company, and we've been running the storefronts for high volume sites for the past 3 years. And we run their CDN layer, their infrastructure, and we give them the site editor. So it's really a complete solution for them to manage and evolve their storefronts. And our job is to guarantee that they are fast and high quality and always stable. Unfortunately, if any of you have already worked on high volume sites, and especially storefronts, it's never like that. It's always a chaos, and there's always so many problems, and much more problems than any human team can deal with. And it's a mission-critical system, so whenever you're 5 minutes offline, you're wasting a lot of revenue, and customers are not able to purchase. So I think that we are unable to solve these kind of problems from the same paradigms that created these problems. We need a new paradigm, and we are all witnessing this paradigm arrive here. We're living that. And this text, there's an article by Soren Larsen. It's called "You Must Just Do Things." And it really helped me grok the change that is going on in software right now, which is software used to be an enabler, a tool for a human to do something better. And now with AI and AI agents, the most valuable software becomes a software that can own an outcome. It can do the work. You can really, like Marvin, you can hire this agent and say, take care of this for me. And that is precisely what we're building here for retailers and for e-commerce. We are figuring out what needs to be true for these storefronts to become self-evolving systems that can learn what's going wrong and then fix themselves and improve themselves. And I'm going to tell you about how we're approaching this mighty goal here. So the first thing that we needed to do is that most of our customers in Brazil are using a platform called VTEX. It's an e-commerce platform like Shopify or BigCommerce. So we had to turn their entire API into an MCP server with tools. And we did that automatically, actually, because they have a very nice open API spec. So that was first order of business, and we could start to allow our customers to talk to their VTEX data. So that would be, I guess, the step 0 in this journey, which is centralizing the tools in MCP servers and having an MCP gateway to serve them. Beyond VTEX, we connected to all of the other necessary tools for our operation, like ClickHouse and GitHub and HyperDX, and you certainly have lots of other tools in your MCP's gateways. The second thing that we did was that it's not enough for the agents to have access to your API if it doesn't know about your context and about your industry. So, for example, we have the HyperDX monitoring system, like for error logs like Datadog, but we have our types of errors and our types of logs. So we got all of the experience from 3 years optimizing these stores and created a storefront skills repo. And we also serve that alongside our tools. And this greatly improved how our agents could achieve their goals, since now they know what to look for. So this is also, I think, a very underappreciated aspect. It's not only about giving access to an API, but your API with your data will have some format, will have some semantics, and you need to teach that to agents too. So the first very impressive result we got was from this customer in Brazil, Fila. We run their Brazilian store, and they were having a high latency across their site, and we could see the latency, we could see in the dashboards, but we had no idea why. And then we armed one of our agents with access to our CDN data and to our error logs. And the agent was able to one-shot discover that there was a bot, a crawling bot, doing a filter explosion, which means going into a search page or a product listing page and combining all of the filters like crazy in a loop and achieving nothing really except for wasting a lot of bandwidth. And this pattern was hidden between two systems, and the agent immediately figured out, and then we were able to fix our robots.txt and also improve our CDN blocking, and the problem was resolved in 1 day. So a point here I think is important to make is when you create your dashboards, you're trying to think ahead of the questions you have. But agents can surface questions that you didn't know how to ask or that would be productive to ask. So I'm not saying dashboards are not useful, but I'm saying that agents can find things you didn't know that you should look for. And the results are amazing and immediate. Since we started using these agents, for example, one of our support engineers, Aline, already reports that 90% of her work is using the Storefront skills repo, and she's 2.5x more productive week per week, just finding and fixing more bugs for our customers because the agents have the proper tools and the proper skills. So I would say that this is the second step in the journey. Now that you have tools and skills in place, you have agents that can use that on demand. This is what Aline was doing. Just because she has access to those agents, she's more productive. But I don't think that's enough. We want, again, autonomous storefronts. So a large part of this autonomy is that these agents should be able to run on a schedule or given some triggers, some events. So we created the system health agent, which looks at our CDN data and our HyperDX, our error logs, and every 2 minutes can detect spikes for each of the customers. So now this guy is constantly monitoring different systems, and if anything is wrong, lets us know in Discord and Linear. So I would say that this is the third step of autonomy. Now that you have those agents with tools, you got to give them the responsibility to run either every some minutes or given some events like a GitHub issue was open or an email was received, etc. And now we are approaching our final step, which is, for me, the holy grail, which is we are experimenting with agents that collaborate via GitHub issues so that the system health agent is now posting an issue, and then the developer agent is able to get this issue and propose a PR. And right now we are still merging the PRs with a human. But as soon as we can verify more robustly, and this is what we're working on, this is the full loop happening by itself, right? So I would say this is the final step that constitutes an autonomous system, is that these agents, which are specialized in what they are good at and the context that they have, they can collaborate. And I think that's also a little underappreciated. People get frustrated very fast when the agents don't one-shot any solution. And what we're seeing in our real life is that it's much more about creating small agents that do one part of the job well and then helping them collaborate. So everything that I talked until now was about fixing the store, fixing performance problems, but the agents can also be used to improve conversion, improve content, and improve the growth of the store itself. And this is one of the agents we're doing to that extent, along with Farm, which is the largest female fashion retailer in Brazil. And they have product listing pages with a bunch of products, right? But the ordering of that product, the humans were only able to do like the first row and make it use the new collection when it makes sense. But the data reveals that there's a lot of good products that are not surfacing, that if they were visible could improve conversion. So we built this agent. The agent built a machine learning algorithm that it can now run every hour. And then this agent talks to the VTEX MCP and reorders the collections for Farm. So the problem is, if you're dealing with brands, if you're dealing with products, now you can't just automate it and let it go. The marketing people want to say, they want to participate, they want to be able to judge, change the criteria, and this is where MCP apps become useful. So MCPs don't need to only export tools, they can also export full UIs and apps so that your user can interact with this autonomous system. So when you're judging something that requires a brand opinion, then you need to involve the human, and MCPs are very useful for that too. Which brings us to the following question. When should these agents be autonomous? When should I try to have an autonomous agent? And when should I not? And last month, Sequoia wrote this nice piece about services software. By the way, a real gold mine here for the builders. Oh, let's go back. And Sequoia is suggesting here that we separate in two dimensions, intelligence and judgment. So intelligence is everything that can be verified. That's a hard yes or no, and it can be an obvious choice. I fixed a bug. Yes, let's release that. Judgment is when you require the input of a human because it requires taste, it requires something that cannot be verified. So I would say that's a very good wedge to separate whether you should try to automate or if you need to incorporate human in the loop and therefore some interface for your user. And the final thing I wanted to wrap here is that I'm quoting actually the creator of Ralph, the agent loop, is that, again, it's very easy to get upset because the AI didn't nail my solution in the first try. But what we have now is the ability to make so much more volume of work with these systems that it is worthwhile to spend more time figuring out the correct rails. And when you have the correct rails, when something goes wrong, you create a new rail, and then when you have the correct rails, the system starts just magically working. So the objective is not to get it right in the first try. The objective is to learn what protections need so that the agents can be more and more autonomous. And what rail is missing? That is the most important questions for these autonomous systems now. So recapping what we talked about here, MCP, we went to the funeral of MCP last night. There was a fun event mocking that MCP is dead, and everyone is saying that. I don't think that's true. I think CLI is very useful, but when you need a protocol for security and governance for serious usage across an enterprise, so far there has no better solution has emerged than MCP. And what I personally like about it, especially now that we have MCP apps, is that the same tools that you create for agents end up being used by humans. So it's a common ground where you can evolve the tooling for your company, for your team, and eventually for your users. The second point I think is important to get from here, from what I'm speaking, is that you cannot rush all the way to autonomy. You need to master each step. So first you need to centralize your tools, create agents that call them directly, then you start using triggers and events, and eventually you can let those agents collaborate with varying degrees of autonomy. But if you try to rush it, it will probably be just frustrating and not deliver the results that you want. And finally, there are two separate domains of problems that we need to judge differently. Problems that can be verified, that can be run by an end-to-end test and verify this is good, and problems that will require some judgment. So you shouldn't try to remove the human from the equation. You should create the correct interfaces for the human to interact with this system. And finally, an invitation. I would love if you would check out our agentic platform. It's called Deco Studio. Every example I showed you here and everything we're running in production with AI is using Deco Studio. And it's basically our vision of how we're going to work from now on by hiring agents, centralizing the tools for them to work, and then giving them feedback as they are progressing. So this is it for me. Thank you so much. And if you want to connect, please take my LinkedIn here.